Video, we'll be going over IRS Form 8919, Uncollected Social Security and Medicare Tax on Wages. So you would only file this form if you perform services for a firm, you believe that your pay from the firm should have been for services as an employee as opposed to an independent contractor. However, the firm or the company did not withhold your share of Social Security and Medicare taxes from your compensation. And one of these reason codes applies to your situation. So we'll talk about reason codes in just a second, but you would not use this form if you actually did work as an independent contractor. Instead, you would complete Schedule C for your Form 1040, and then to calculate your self-employment tax, you will complete IRS Schedule SE. If you are trying to calculate taxes, Social Security and Medicare taxes owed on tips that you did not report to your employer, or allocated tips that were shown on your Form W-2 as income, then you would use IRS Form 4137, which is the form for Social Security and Medicare tax on unreported tip income. So in this example, we're going to go through this form as if we were our hero John Doe, and he's got one job with a company who treats him like an independent contractor, even though he has received IRS correspondence indicating that he should be an employee. So there are 4 legitimate reason codes that have to do with Form SS8, which is the request for a determination from the IRS on whether you're an employee or an independent contractor. So if you use reason code A, this means that you did file the form and you received a determination letter stating that you're an employee of the firm. Reason code C means that you've received some other correspondence from the Internal Revenue Service, not with respect to Form SS8, but that correspondence does say that you're an employee. Reason code G means that you've filed this form with the IRS, but you have not received a response as of the time of this filing. Response code H means that you received a W-2 and a 1099 from the same company for the tax year. The amount on the 1099 should have been included as wages on the W-2. And in this case, you would now file Form SS8 if you select reason code H. So I'll put links to these videos on the and articles on some of these other tax forms in the show notes page, as well as the link to our article on this. So completed the top of the form, John Doe, Social Security number, and then the name of his firm. So he's got one job. It's with Acme Enterprises. We've completed the name of the firm, the identification number. In this scenario, John actually did receive a response to his filed Form SS8 indicating that he is an employee of Acme Enterprises. Received it on a certain date. He did not receive a 1099 with his, actually, we'll put down that he did receive a 1099 instead of a W-2. And then total wages received with no tax withholding that was not reported on W-2, $100,000 for the tax year. So if he were working for more than one company, he would repeat these for as many lines as necessary. This is the only company, so we're going to total everything up in line 6. So that's $100,000 of wages that you would also enter on your Form 1040. There's a specific line 1G, that talks about wages where Social Security and Medicare taxes were not already withheld. Now in line 7, you'll see the maximum amount of wages subject to Social Security for the tax year. In 2022, that amount was $147,000. In tax year 2023, I believe it's 160, 200. And then in line 8, you would enter any other Social Security wages and tips where they actually were reported on a Form W-2. So we're not counting this compensation right here because that was reported on a 1099. But if you did have W-2 reported income or RRTA for Railroad Retirement System employees, they're very similar systems, but they're completely separate systems. They're both subject to a 6.2% withholding rate. In this case, we did not have any income that was reported on a Form W-2. So if we had, we would put that in here just to make sure that we're accounting for it when we do our Social Security tax calculation. So in line 9, you would subtract any W-2 income from that you've already reported or that has been reported for you from this $147,000. So since that number is 0, we're entering $147,000. In line 10, we're going to enter the smaller of either line 6 or line 9. And this is the Social Security wage-based limit. So if this were $200,000, then we would only be calculating Social Security tax based on the 147. Since this is $100,000, we're going to calculate Social Security on the full $100,000. So we multiply that amount by 6.2%. That gives us our Social Security tax rate. We're going to multiply the line 6 amount by 1.45%. There is no income limitation to Medicare. So if you earned $1 million in the tax year, then you would owe $14,500 instead of the $1,450 for Medicare taxes. And then in line 13, we combine lines 1 and 2. We'll enter that here. We'll also put that in Schedule 2, line 6 as part of our tax return. That ends up becoming an additional tax that gets put back into your Form 1040. So if you run into a situation where you work for an employer and the employer is treating you like an independent contractor, does not withhold your Social Security taxes, but you do have documentation or you have a reasonable cause to believe that the IRS would consider you to be an employee, then you would file IRS Form 8919 to make sure that you're properly reporting your Social Security and Medicare taxes, and that, very importantly, your earnings get reported to the Social Security Administration by the IRS so that you don't have to go back down the road and correct your earnings history when you start collecting Social Security benefits. If you want more information on this form, we've put a lot of detail into an article that you can find the link to in the show notes. You can also go to our website, teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 8919, and you should see our article appear. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please post them in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.